Nixon and his cronies had better get us out. I hope. So then it came, graduated from high school, go to British Academy for a PG year, still eligible, and they get up to 143, 144, 145, and I can remember this very clearly. I'm playing the University of Connecticut on Connecticut's field in Storrs, Connecticut for British Academy, and the next thing I hear, I get a phone call from my mom, and she says, they stopped at 146. And I went, woohoo! Now, I also said, had I been called, I'd have gone. I wouldn't have gone to Canada, but since I wasn't called, I wasn't going. I wasn't going to volunteer for that, but I wasn't going to. But I also felt, that's one of the reasons I became a cop, because I felt like I still owed the country something. And I would have gone willingly. I wouldn't have, like I said, wouldn't have tried to, get a deferment. I wouldn't have said, oh my gosh, here I am playing football, and this is what a lot of guys did. But I'm pigeon-toed, so I can play Division I athletics, but I got this medical problem. I'm flat-footed, so I can't go. Or old. My eyes are bad. Or some guys used to, in football, they would literally, true story, they didn't want to go. Their number was up. I had teammates who did this. Hit me. Boom! ACL injury. I ain't going.
No.
Oh yeah.
Why can't you just say you're gay?
I guess you could do that, but that may at that particular time that could have affected you for even longer than the 4 years that you were in. So it's certainly possible.
That's crazy. Did you get to hit anybody?
No.
Oh, that'd be so tight. That'd be the one fun part about that. All right.
I hit you.
I'm gonna check the date April 4th.
That year? Oh. Here it was. Now the point I'm trying to make
Did
is
you get out of it?
people.
Shoulder injuries and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so I'm good.
Well, they don't have it anymore.
If they couldn't get back to it someday, I don't know. I'm scared.
No, they'll never go back. They'll always have a volunteer on it.
All right, I'm scared.
You're good. They'll always have, unless. No, I'm pretty sure they'll always have a volunteer. Just the draft, right? And that's why. Does everybody understand this? And without the deferments and without the doctors who could sort of make up whether or not you had an injury or not, this is why Vietnam has often been called the first racial war in America. Because if you realize this, that during World War I, and even in the Civil War to a certain degree, they didn't want African Americans to fight. They didn't really want them to fight, put them on the front line very much in World War I or World War II or even Korea. Nobody liked Vietnam, who couldn't get deferments. Who couldn't go to Oxford? African Americans. So all the white kids got deferments or went into officers' candidate school, and the African Americans went to the front lines, which is why hopefully now it should make a little sense that when Muhammad Ali decided not to go and said, I'd rather go to jail, he said, this is not our war. This is not even the Vietnamese war. This is a white man's war, and you're asking African Americans to fight in it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going there.
He went to jail.
He went to jail.
But okay, so when he came out, did they still hassle him?
Oh yeah. I mean, you're talking. I mean, he is. I mean, I've said this. I've said this many times. That the three most understated civil rights activists in the 1960s, in my opinion, got the stellar Martin Luther King. But the three other ones that are Muhammad Ali for what he did, and people don't give him credit for that at all, and that was huge. James Brown, just for his, not only for his music, because there were other musicians that helped integrate music and having white kids listening to black music before James Brown. But the fact that when he sang "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud," that was an anthem that was incredibly significant. And the third one, Sammy Davis Jr., an entertainer who literally went through vaudeville, and if you look at how he broke the barriers down with the Rat Pack in Las Vegas and in the entertainment world, I don't think that he gets credit for being such a monumental force in civil rights. I also don't think that Sammy Davis Jr. gets his own due in terms of himself as an entertainment leader. If you look, for instance, at Michael Jackson, which many of you do know, you may not appreciate his lifestyle, but you may appreciate his music. Most of his dance steps, including the moonwalk, right, which he supposedly invented, was actually a dance step by Sammy Davis Jr. about 20 years before. Didn't know that, did you?
I did, actually.
I thought you was. Now,
I don't want to scrap it.
for some reason I can't get my computer working. But let me just say that there's an ebb and flow. There's a pendulum, and the pendulum swings back and forth. And usually the liberal policies of the presidency will cause momentum to sort of swing back. Right? And there are corrections in this advent of power, and usually people like Jimmy Carter or George Bush 41 tend to be correctives as the momentum swings too much. And the question that people are going to ask is whether or not Barack Obama is a correction or the start. In other words, whether he's sort of like here on the pendulum swing and it'll swing back over here, or whether or not we are beginning with President Obama to have a significant and long run of Democratic patterns. The trend seems to be that there's going to be at some point a trend of Democratic presidents. Now, some might say, well, couldn't it have started with Clinton? And they go, no, he was in between some Republicans. Now, the other thing that you cannot do with regard to these presidents is you cannot say that they emerged because of war. Right? Because if you think of the Democrats between 1800 and 1860, you have the War of 1812 and you have the Mexican War. From 1860 to 1832, you have the Civil War, you have the Spanish-American War, you have World War I. Pretty significant battles. During 1832 to 68, you have World War II, Korea, Vietnam. 72 onward, or 68 onwards, you have the Cold War, the war in Iraq, the war in Iraq revisited, the war in Iran. So you can't say that presidents come into power only during wartime to establish their principle. You could make a case that depending on the economic situation, it will cause one particular party to come into focus than the other. Unfortunately for the Democrats. Unfortunately, because they have a lot of good things to say, which hopefully you will find out as you look online. The Democrats seem to be in power during times of economic economic recession. And you could say that maybe that recession was brought about by the policies of the Republicans, but it seems to be that the Republicans tend to rule, or the perception is, that money's flowing when Republicans are president, and money's not flowing with Democrats. And as to whose fault that is, that the money is either flowing and whose policies set the tone for this particular pendulum swing is up for debate. Any questions? Snooky, shame on you.
I want to ask you something though.
Yeah.
Do you think that every teacher in the school knows other two people?
I don't.
I don't think so. You don't.
Well, George, I'll send you a color photo of all three. You could do a little study with regard to our faculty
That's not rude.
and shape. No, say, hey, you can say, hey, this is a part of our class.
Yeah, I want to get there.
All right, I will send it to you, George.
I'll actually do it. I think a lot of teachers know who Snooki is too, but don't know.
Don't know the other two guys?
Yeah.